We say shit you too scared to say. I'm a real bitch now, deal with it. I'm a real bitch now, deal with it. We say shit you too scared to say. I'm a real bitch now.
You're tuned into Raw Real Talk, where we keep it 100 with you at all times. And on this segment, we are talking about homosexuality and the negative energy and the negative vibrations and inhumanity that is being released toward homosexuality. I know I speak about this often because I'm hoping that one day people wake up and understand the sensitivity around sexuality in general, not just homosexuality. And the story is what caught my eye to want to bring it to you. You probably could have heard about it. In Tampa, Florida, this pastor named T.W. Jenkins and New Hope Baptist Church reneged on funeral services to a family because he found out the deceased was gay and the man was married. This fucking asshole was tipped off through reading the obituary of the deceased. And it kind of stated basically like he leaves behind a grieving husband, probably.
A church has every right to cancel a man's funeral, and the grieving family has every right to be devastated. But this case centers around the fact that the man was gay. Shannon Benkin sorts out a very sensitive story that you will only see on News Channel 8.
Our relationship wasn't really a secret. Everybody knew.
The night before his husband's funeral, Kendall Capers was told the service was canceled. The pastor of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church in Tampa learned the pair were gay, and the congregation was livid.
Regardless of our background, our sexual orientation, how can you wait that long and put somebody in a bind when they're going through their loss?
Julion Evans, 42, died late last month of amyloidosis. Evans's family attends New Hope and wanted the funeral here.
I felt it probably would have been best for him to be at the church. His family grew up in the church. It just made sense.
New Hope immediately said yes, but the invitation was abruptly revoked during the wake after the newspaper obituary named Capers as the surviving husband. Julion's mother was too upset to talk on camera, but told me that she was standing at her son's casket when the phone rang. The message, it would be blasphemous for her son's funeral to be held here at the church. New Hope's pastor, T.W. Jenkins, told me by phone that his church doesn't support gay marriage. He said, "I tried not to condemn anyone's lifestyle, but at the same time, I am a man of God and have to stand upon my principles." Initially, Jenkins agreed to an on-camera interview, but when I showed up, the door was locked. "Pastor Jenkins, I'm still trying to reach you." And he didn't answer my repeated calls. All of this leaves Capers sad and conflicted about religion.
It's not like we woke up and said, let's be gay. It's something we were born with, and we've dealt with it for me 40 years, him 42 years, and we make the best possible choices.
Pastor Jenkins said he regrets that this decision was made the night before the funeral. He said he typically reviews obits before they published, but was on vacation when this obituary ran in the newspaper. And I could hear it in his voice, Keith. He felt really bad for this family, but he says he still feels like he made the right decision because he has to stand by what he believes in.
We said it at the beginning. It's a very sensitive story here, but where did the family end up having this funeral? Did they have to go to another church?
They looked around, but they didn't have very much time, so they ended up having it at the same funeral home that handled the wake. But they said that it was still a nice service, but they felt like they missed out on that church funeral that they wanted.
And this fucking fool obviously lost his mind. Because for you to renege and deny services to a person, to a family, because he was gay, where the fuck is your mind? I mean, I want you to wrap your head and your mind around this shit. And then the obituary was published in the local newspaper, and the people of the church started to alert the pastor and tell them that we don't want this funeral being held because the deceased is gay and he has a husband. So a day before, he canceled the funeral services. Now, I want you to really think about that. And this fucking idiot had the nerve to say that he do not regret his fucking decision. He stands behind his decision. And even though a lot of people, such as myself, think he's a fucking fool an insensitive jackass. And I'm just shaking my head at this motherfucker. And this asshole wasn't even aware of the situation until members brought it to him, like I said. And they started to complain because of their fucking hang-ups. So you're going to base your hang-ups on the deceased, especially something like this. I mean, these people are fucking fools as well. But anyway, to me, it was ultimately the pastor's decision. And I think he should have been more humane and looked at the grieving family. And what this bastard don't realize, the pastor that is he's basing his decision off his own hang-ups, his own fears, his own delusions around homosexuality and sexuality. And he did not once think about the spiritual essence of the deceased, nor the emotional aspect regarding the deceased family. I mean, how can you do that? If that was your family, how would you feel? And he want to quote scripture and say, oh, I'm not condemning nobody's lifestyle. But at the same time, and when you put that but, that negates that first statement. I am a man of God. And he has to stand up for his principles. But this is one stupid fucking principle. And I don't believe you should be even adding God to that. And the family had to rush around to get things together, to learn that they had to scramble to find somewhere to do the services. And I heard family members didn't even get the information in time enough. And some of them couldn't even make it. They missed the funeral because of what this pastor did. Because they couldn't even notify everybody because things changed overnight for them. And they only had less than 24 hours to prepare for this funeral. My heart goes out to this family. And this pastor really need to dig deeper within himself and go deeper and meditate within his studies. I am fucking outraged because you're not looking at the person and the spirit as a pastor should do of the deceased. You're looking at the acts of the man. And if that is the case, you shouldn't be burying nobody or very few people, because it's people that did things in their life that is considered ungodly like, but you still grant them a funeral service. But you're going to tell me because a man is in love and having sex with, fucking whatever you want to say and call it, with another man, and he was married to someone he is in love with, that you're going to make him suffer and desecrate him even after death? What the fuck is wrong with you? And what kind of man of God are you? You're going to tell me that, yeah, homosexual in your mind and in your Bible is an abomination, but it's funny how God still managed to forgive, but you, a man of flesh and blood, going to deny another man and family of flesh and blood services that every person should receive. Now, I want you to think about that. Think about, can you wrap your mind around that as a person? Fuck as a pastor, because that's just title. What are you trying to tell me? You walking next to God or walking next to Jesus? No, you're just a man who has a perception to fulfill what you feel is your destiny, but you're no more or better than the next man that's trying to live, that's trying to love, and trying to breathe life just as you. But you're going to sit there and tell me you're going to deny him services because he's married to a man, was having sex with a man, fucking a man, whatever you want to call it. But you have men every fucking day doing different things to hurt other individuals. And I'm pretty sure you wouldn't deny a gangbanger services. And he could have killed 25 people. Would you deny a murderer services? I don't think you would. It's just this whole thing about homosexuality and bisexuality that's getting us all twisted in our heads as individuals. And when I say us, I'm talking about us as a people. And if you fit, then you have to accept it. And if that is not you, you should not have nothing to say to me. If you have nothing against homosexuality. And if you do have something against homosexuality and you agree with this pastor, that means if you ever done anything that goes against God and that Bible, you shouldn't be buried and you should be denied services. That's pretty much what you're saying. And I want you, like I said, to think about this nonsense. This is fucking stupidity. And the people, the very people that denies services, denies people to come to their church and say you can't be a member is the same motherfuckers that's fucking men, that's sucking dick, or maybe raping little girls, or killing people, or selling fucking drugs. Shit that other people in society disagree with. I disagree with drug dealers. Am I going to say that that drug dealer shouldn't be buried when it's his turn to go home to God? You couldn't possibly carry the weight that God has on his shoulders with his children. And for you to think you are a judge and you deny somebody those basic human rights, for you to make the choice and take that choice and that freedom from another family, from another human being, you sick in your fucking head. And I tell you that in front of your fucking face. What kind of man are you? Are you truly a man of God? You should have buried that man and embraced his spirit. Because if you're just thinking about the flesh of the man, you shouldn't be buried either. You should be denied services because you are not perfect. You are not God and you are not Jesus. And people saying that he had the right, just like if he had the right to deny a Muslim or a white supremacist. And for you to compare, stupid ass, homosexuality to white supremacy and racism, you sick in your fucking head. Those are two separate fucking issues. You got to stay in your lane and talk about and understand what it is that you're saying before you say it. Yes, you have your own right and your own perception and freedom of speech with what you want to say. But what I want to say is I fucking disagree with you. This is insane. And I was all prepared to post and working on my video dealing with police brutality. And I'm thinking how this shit interrelates. It's about our mind as a people, black, white, green, whatever the fuck color you are, been twisted as a people. Then when you want to break down the person to a motherfucking mentality, then that's a whole different story. When you want to judge somebody and do brutal attacks because you feel you have the power to, and the power in your skin or the power in your badge or the power in your pocket or in your clip. See, that's punk shit to me. I almost have more respect for a man that goes back to knuckling up and fighting with your fist. But when you start shooting a motherfucker and knowing that other person you shooting at can't defend themselves and a bullet is a bullet and a bullet is a bullet, there's something wrong with you. And I don't feel that that is a humane thing to do. That's just first thing. But if I just take humanity out and we just talking about ego, that is some cowardly shit. And the reason why I'm mentioning this, because we have so much shit going on and you want to add more shit on top of shit because of just your personal belief. You don't know if half the shit in the Bible is even true or have been tampered with. And let's say you just want to take it as is. You still a man. You still sin. You was born a sinner. But you're going to take one thing out of the Bible and start popping your gums on it and knowing you might be the biggest homosexual. You might be raping women. You might be selling drugs or pimping motherfuckers like your motherfucking congregation coming in there spending their last hard-earned dollar and putting it in your pocket. You think God asking you to do that? Y'all taking communion and shit to a whole nother fucking level, filling up your motherfucking pockets. Then you want to stick on the shit that you feel can get you dollars and get you popularity. And to a degree, the people that go to your church probably agree with you because they're basing it on the Bible and those Bible thumpers. But there's a whole lot more going on than just the Bible. If you just base what I'm talking about just on humanity, that's an inhumane choice that you made. And you're going to have this family suffer and desecrate the dead and desecrate or try to desecrate the spirit and the memory of this beloved and of this brother and of his husband because you want some bullshit. This is crazy. And yes, I get very, very emotional when I feel people are being bullied and being attacked because of the simplicity of being in love with somebody, of being sexually attracted to the same sex. Only time that shit get horrible or horrifying when somebody's getting taken advantage of or kids getting fucked or and killed and raped and shit and pedophilia. Don't cross those lines and those borders. And the only time those things can be crossed and those borders can be crossed is when the pedophile himself say, oh, I did this because I'm gay. Then you start crossing that shit. But you putting homosexuals in the same level. And the reason why I speak of those two, and I spoke of those two in previous videos, because people get that shit twisted. And then when I speak on it because you trying to hold some shit inside of your homosexuality, your personal emotions and feelings regarding homosexuality in a negative way. These pastors, reverends, popes taking advantage of little children and shit, their innocence and their inability to protect themselves. You sick, pedophilic, bully ass bitch motherfuckers, hurting little children because you hiding your own demons and you do not know how to handle your own sexual desires. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because these are the same motherfuckers that denied this man the right to be buried. Is the same motherfuckers that's doing this sick, twisted shit. And these pastors using God's name in the Bible for their own wicked, sick, twisted ways to pump the public with their bullshit perception. You must be out your goddamn mind to use God for your own sick, sexual, perverted behavior. And it's mumble mouth motherfuckers like you that's tainted. They create this ugly fixation, and this family should not have been your target. And you should not have used them for your target practice to score big with the members of your church. You are a very foolish person and a very foolish man. And you are leading your church members down an ugly path. And this is another thing that I would like to add, because I don't want the men to believe this is directed only toward males. Because I hate female bitches that go around with their hang-ups and their nose turned up at homosexuals and force their emotions on others, and knowing they have some secrets in their own closet and secrets of their own. You could be to a lesbian or a bisexual person. And this commentary is not just based on men. This is also to you females who are twisted in your fucking heads as well and have a problem with homosexuality. And you want to use God as your excuse to demean another person because you want to bounce between men and women, licking pussy or sucking dick. And you might have a secret crush on a church member or a female neighbor or some such shit. Knowing you like the same sex as well, but you want to turn your nose up at a lesbian because she's openly proud of who she is and her sexuality. And she loves God just as well as you love God, or even more. That's some crazy shit. And that really pisses me off. Yes, I could continue on and on and on, because this is really, really disheartening that today, out of all the shit that we got to deal with as a people, as individuals, our cultures clashing, and racism and sexism and war, and you're going to sit there and still argue about who somebody fucking, and knowing if it's based on two people, consenting people, loving each other and having sex with one another. And whether they love each other or not, if you consented and you're not getting hurt, the next person should not say anything motherfucking about it. Mind your business. Shit. I mean, boy, I'm at a level with this homosexuality thing and the disrespect around it. If the person didn't do anything to you in their character, not because of who they fucking and sucking, are you sick? So like I said, my heart goes out to this family, and they should not have been victims of another man's hang-ups. And please leave your questions and comments and let me know how you feel about this situation and many others like it. Please. God bless.